Hey everyone, and this is part 3 of creating a leaderboard with Google Forms and Google Sheets. This is the third video, this is part 3, and we are going to now focus on actually creating our leaderboard that we can embed on sites, do social media posts. We can do all kinds of things with our leaderboard. What's great to know about this leaderboard is that once you get the form established and a way to get the data in our data import sheet, this will run itself. You won't have to worry about it. It's a great way for your students to actually be involved in their own challenge by submitting their own data using the Google form. And then you really don't have to do anything because the leaderboard will do all the calculations for you. All you'll have to do is find some common way for your students to be able to check the board. As I've reviewed in the previous videos, our school's approach is personal learner sites, so digital portfolios, and all of our students have one of these sites, and then we publish our leaderboard. On each site, and that's how the students can check where their team is at. If you're not planning on doing portfolios, that's okay. I'm going to give you a few ideas right now of how you can still use this leaderboard and how you can post it in a common spot for your classroom or for your classes or school. Okay, so we've gone through creating the form and setting up the complementary Google Sheet. And we know that all of our students' data that they input or the data that we input for them is now going to our sheet correctly. We've checked that. We've used two functions to go ahead and track or connect sheet 1 with sheet 2. We've used our query function that pulls the right data, which is the points per team. And then we've used our sum function, which is adding our columns of rows. And then these are the three boxes, the sum functions, that are really all we need to create our running leaderboard. So, like I said, at my school, we're doing a Animal Crossing themed campaign that focuses on student growth with multiple challenges, and it's a school-wide game. And so our leaderboard is our tally sheet, and our leaderboard is pretty big, and it has lots of columns, but you might not need that, right? Because you might just be working with your class and just a few students. So no matter what you're doing, this really has a range of uses. And I'm going to talk to you about the last couple of uh, functions that you're going to need to just finish this off. So in our example, you'll see that we have the name up here, and you see there aren't any functions in any of these boxes. So we actually have our the team's icons. So these are just 3D printed animals actually that our students can win, and so we have images of those, and we've just put them in our leaderboard to really brand our leaderboard and make our leaderboard come to life, make it a little bit more engaging. But you won't see any functions. So I'm just all this formatting is just done within the cells themselves. But when you get to the running numbers, you'll see up here, right? I don't know if that's easy to see or not, so we'll go ahead and click this. But up here, you'll see that there is a function for all of our numbers. And the way that we're going to use this function is actually pretty easy. So what we're telling the function to do is we're asking the sheet to go ahead and pull, so import, right? And then the range from the name, and this is just the name of our sheet, okay? And then this is the tab we want right here. So the tab we want is right here. And then the cell that we want. So this is actually a pretty easy function to understand. So this long number right here, that's actually just this number here. So that's the name of our sheet in the URL address. And then this right here again, that is just the name of the sheet that we want to pull the data from, the second sheet. And again, this is just the cell from the sheet that we want to pull the data from. So in this case, it's M2. So what we have to do on our book challenge is just basically copy the same type of function. So first we'll just take a glance at what cells our data, our summative data is in. So this is row 2 and this is column F. So we know that we're going to be pulling from F2, G2, and H2. And then what we just have to do is go ahead and copy the sheet that we want. Okay. And that's just, again, the name of the sheet within that URL. And you'll find this one, it's after the D / and before the / edit. So it's just that long mix of characters in there. And then if we go back to our example again, instead of copy and pasting this time, I'm just going to show you how to type it in. We go back to our example, we're going to see some important things here that will just get repeated every time. If we look up here, we see the equal sign, and that cues that we want to do a function. And then this is what we want it to do, the import range. We want it to import a range of data. And then we see a parentheses and quotation marks. So let's go ahead and see if we can do this ourselves. And we might not get it right the first time, and that's totally okay. The important part here is finding the cell that we want to use. So I'm actually going to come over here. I'm going to center this a little bit more because I know whenever I actually get to work here, one thing that I've learned is it's better to kind of center your leaderboard and have some space above and the sides. So I'm going to say, okay, well, we've got 3. So it's probably going to go around in F. It's more of the central location, and probably maybe like down here. I'm going to pick one of the lower ones so I can have some space around the leaderboard that's just white space. So I'm going to go ahead and try this function. All I have to do is select the cell where I want the function. So see how it's now outlined in blue, equals, okay? And now I'm cueing that I want it to do something, right? Import range, that's right. And remember, we've got that parentheses, and then we've got those quotation marks. And we've already copied the title, right? So we'll just go ahead and paste it. Perfect. Now let's go back to our example. Okay, what's after the title? Okay, well, we've got to close those parentheses, and then we've got to put a comma. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close those parentheses, comma, and then we saw a space. And then we'll go back here and look at our example. What's next? Okay, another set of parentheses, and then the title of our sheet followed by an exclamation point. Now, in this case, it's called tally sheet, spelled incorrectly. That's my bad. And in this sheet, we have tally sheet spelled correctly, so we'll go ahead and type it up here. Sometimes with spaces, I do find that they can be problematic, so if you're having trouble with your function working, try taking the space away. But we'll see if this works, and then we'll go ahead and put our exclamation part. Now let's look, point. Now let's look at what comes next. Okay, so no space there, but we know it's just, we're going to go ahead and put the name of the cell. And we know that ours is F2. So we'll go ahead and put capital F2. We'll go ahead and close those parentheses. Anytime you start a parentheses, you got to close the parentheses in a function. And let's see if there's anything else we need to do here. Yep, we've got to close that parentheses too. Okay. So let's go ahead and click enter and see what happens. Loading. That's a good sign. Let's see if it pulls that data. It's thinking about it. I do have a slow connection, so we'll see if I need to. Now there is an error here, so let's see what's going on. Still says loading. Go click ahead. Oh, now we've got it. It just took a minute. So, yep, that's right. We know it's the number 5. So now that we've got this right, this is great. We know it's right. Now I can just copy and paste. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the cell next door. Now you can actually format this any way you want, but we know the next one is G2. That's our blue, right? We'll hit enter. We'll hit enter again, what we had to do last time. We'll just wait a minute, and then we'll go ahead and paste that function again in the next cell, and we'll go ahead and put our H2. And it might take a minute again. Oh, there we go, it popped up. If you got a slow connection like me and you're recording, yeah, you just might have to wait a second. But as long as you're seeing the same values, from the summative sheet that you want to show up, then you're probably correct. Now, if we look back at this other leaderboard, from this point, this is all about creative design. We've got our leaderboard up and running, but you'll notice here the color choice, pictures, the font choice, and the white space. So let me show you. We're not going to go to great length because I want to keep this video to a reasonable, I want to keep it to a reasonable length. But now that we've kind of got it to work and to function, let's make it look decent. Okay, so to create this white space, I'm highlighted these cells above here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get these cells to merge, and I'm gonna click the merge cell. So this means merge, and it makes it one big cell. It's just gonna make that all white space. And then I'm gonna highlight it, and I'm gonna pull it down and pull it over because I don't want to merge anything that I have values in. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and merge these cells. I'm gonna go ahead and merge these cells. Now I may have merged too many, but I like to have that white space around there so that when I am ready to publish it, that I really get that white background. Okay. And now we could merge these three cells. We could add a title. So we could expand these cells. We could make them bigger. And then maybe we could align it so it's middle aligned and it's vertically aligned. And when I'm doing this, I always like to use, smoother fonts. If I'm, working with younger kids, it might be fun to choose a fun one and choose maybe a bigger font. So like Book Challenge, right? Didn't give us that vertical line. So we'll try that again. There we go. And then we might want to add some color. Or, we might have to just play around with this a little bit and see what we like. And now we probably want the names of our teams here pretty big. Oops. Go ahead and put that down. And we remember that this one's the red one, this one's the blue one, and this one's the yellow one. So we'll go ahead and maybe use the same font, but maybe not quite as big, but maybe like an 18 there. Maybe do that center line. And then maybe caps, right? And then we'll go ahead. And of course, you can use the same formatting you could put blue and yellow. And then, of course, there's paint format where you can actually go through and make this a little bit easier on yourself. But just in case you've never done this before, I'll just kind of go through step by step. Maybe make it 18. Maybe do the Frederica one. I kind of like that. And this might take you a while to get this how you want it. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect today, but there's lots of different things you could do to just play around with this, make it beautiful, make it pretty. I really like the Comforta, if I'm pronouncing that right. Comforta. I don't know. There's two A's at the end, I feel like. So I'm going to make this fit in the cell a little bit better, do 17. And then just, whatever you want to do. Maybe you want to merge these cells. Maybe you want to make the points just a lot bigger. Get them as big as maybe you want to center those as well. Vertical line here. Maybe you want to do some images, around here. You can insert an image in cell, an image over the cell. You could look for it by URL if you've got photos you want to use Google Drive or Google Image Search. So maybe I look for a book. And there we go. Tons of stuff you could choose from, right? This one's really cool. This one's a little bit more cartoony, so um, there we go. And then you could, make that look how you want it to look. So I did it over the cells, but you can format that image so it's the size that you want. Move it around, and then maybe you want to do another image on this other side, your school logo. If you've got like a class logo that you want to use, you could do that. You could make these different colors. You can hear my son. He's obviously not happy right now. But of course, you could go through here and format this a little bit. And I'm like literally there are just endless ways that you could format this to make it look cool and the way that you want it to be. And if you wanted here, we could even add, like leaderboard, or we could add more words here. Center this out. Make it a little bit bigger and write leaderboard in here. Make that a cool color and make it kind of pop. Or you could make it purple, or you could make it green. Really, whatever you want to do, you could make these pop. You could align these with the teams, right? Let's see here. You could do a gradient. So maybe you want to go one step, deeper blue, one step deeper red. All kinds of things you can think about. And of course, I'm kind of gearing this towards like a younger, level right now. On this one, we really tried to make it, the other leaderboard, we tried to make it more universally engaging with the chess look. And just however you want that to look, you know what I mean? I'll do one more image just for the sake of things here. Let's do an image. We can do more books or a medal, right? Like that could be cool. We could search for, let's see here, Google image search, like a trophy or a medal. All those are a bit, like one of those could be cool, or a trophy. Maybe a trophy could be even cooler. So yeah, that could be really neat if we did like a trophy, and then we could kind of balance that out here with, bring that over here and balance that out with our books, kind of make it a similar size. And that's one thing that I love, is they really try to help you format well, balance things well. In the future, you might want to find a white background that's a little bit clearer. But here we've got a pretty decent looking, leaderboard. You could make, if you really wanted to kind of finish it off, there's a lot you could do, honestly. So the last step to creating your leaderboard is really figure out, so this is up and running, and I want to just show you how easy it is from start to finish for this data to be impacted. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our form that's live, and we're going to go ahead and input some more data. Now, sometimes it does take a minute to refresh. It's not always completely instantaneous. But Gilbert, we know, is on two teams. So we'll go ahead and keep it consistent. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't think of books ahead of time. So you'll have to just bear with me. Da, 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 da. And let's say he earned another 5 points. Submit. Okay, great. Perfect. That's submitted. So we go and we see how that impacted the leaderboard, and see we've got that live update. So now your leaderboard is up and running. It's working. The last step that you'll want to do is just go ahead and you'll want to publish to the web. So go ahead and hit the entire, you can, instead of the entire document, you can just publish the leaderboard. And you can also embed just the leaderboard. Yes, I'm sure we want to do that. So they give you an embed code. I personally really like to use the link, but you could also download this as a PDF. So that's another option, but I, in this case, want to use it on a web page. So there we go. There's my link to my leaderboard. Now, let's say, okay, I am not ready to have every single student in my class have their own personal site, and that's totally fine. But let's say you do want to use this feature. Really, there's a really easy way that you could do this, and it will take you about just a few minutes, and I'll go ahead and walk you through it so that your students will have a common place to view. Sorry about that. A common place to view. So go back to your Google Apps, click Sites. Go ahead and choose a blank site. And loading, of course. I have my million tabs, so that I'm sure that doesn't help us. And here we go, a blank site, okay? So because all the information is kind of on the leaderboard, we could change the header to, like an image that goes with our leaderboard. So we could select an image. We could look up the Google Images, galleries, search. We could put book. And yep, there's that same image. There's more images over here. Just find an image that you like. Maybe you want to keep this reminiscent of a library or stacks of books. Click an image that goes with your theme. Just keep it simple. It's adjusting for readability right now. And you can title this, but you can also leave the title blank because we did put all that information on the leaderboard. Sorry, it clicked it before I had a chance to tell you. So over here is your toolkit. You're just going to click embed. And we've already highlighted and gotten that link from our leaderboard when we publish. So remember, we clicked file, we published it to the web, and we decided we were going to do that leaderboard, right, only. And so we went ahead and published that. So we copied and pasted that already, just in case you forgot. And there it is. We already put that in there. So we can go ahead and insert that leaderboard. Now, I don't really like how it's showing this. So that tells me when I go back here, I can, do some more merging of cells, of course. But I can also just write on here, like, make this leaderboard, whoops, look exactly how I want by cropping it. Whoops. And sometimes when you have a slow connection, it will do this to you and it will kind of move on its own. Draw this up. Maybe get rid of some of those extra cells. My baby's coming in here. And then, whoops. So I might have made it a little bit too far to the right. So I might need to just, work on that on the leaderboard itself. Okay, but it doesn't look the best, okay? But of course you have a chance to work on this, because what's great about this is once you publish this, any changes you make on this itself, like if you wanted to make this huge, or you wanted to put the title here, you want to put color all around this, you wanted to make it formatted and look just really beautiful, you can still make those changes and they'll still change. So for now, let's go ahead and put book challenge leaderboard. And then we can go ahead and even call it the same thing. And then we can go ahead and publish this site. And what's great about this is once you have this published, all you have to do is give this link to your students. So every day they know where to go. You could pull this link up you could cast it. I honestly wish I had, it's killing me, my sensibilities, to leave the leaderboard so ugly on here, because of course I would want to play around with this and make it look so much better, increase the font, make it really fill out this space. But of course you get the idea. So now you have this live active leaderboard, you have a dedicated site that you can share with your students, you can cast on your screen every day if you want to, and you can interact and use this any way you want. Again, you could also post this on social media. You could just post, your live link on social media. So if you're using Facebook or using Twitter or any other kind of social media. And then also, if you decide to go the personal site route, it does look really nice. Sorry, that's our it does look really nice, on the student sites. So they can just go right to their site and they can get information about their team right on their site. Whatever you decide to do, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and you've taken something away from it. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email me at megan.robbins@billtown.org. Any questions, any concerns at all, please just reach out.